Hi, my name is Linus Brunnstro, and I'm a researcher at the Unit for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. I'm here to tell you a little bit more about my research, and especially about my dissertation. My dissertation is named Commercialization Done Differently, How Swedish University Incubators Help Facilitate the Formation of Knowledge-Intensive Entrepreneurial Firms. And I know it's a doozy, but it's an interesting topic, I think, and it's about how Swedish university incubators and innovation offices help facilitate and help different types of founders to create their own businesses. So my dissertation is about that, and I started my study by doing a qualitative interviews on 3 different universities and their university incubators and innovation offices, which is basically the equivalent of a technology transfer office in the US. I began my investigation with 3 different universities in Sweden and their university offices and innovation offices. So what I did was I conducted qualitative interviews with the managers and basically told them to tell me a little bit more about the commercialization process at the local university. And what really differentiated was different type of founders and how they were perceived by the managers. So researchers came out as different and special in part because of the potential impact of their ideas, but also because they were more likely to be stuck on their technical solution or lack time or unwilling to become entrepreneurs themselves. And then I did a quantitative study to systematize this knowledge because I wanted to know more about the differences between different types of founders and their way through incubation and creating a new firm. So basically I got access to a Vinnova database that is called the Incubator database, and basically that contains 37 incubators and 4,000 firms and data on them. So what I did was I did a survival analysis called Competing Risks, because I wanted to know more about different types of founders and their way to incubation. So basically what I found was that researchers compared to other types of founders, such as students and such, were slower and not as likely to create firms themselves. But there was something else also, and that was that researchers, if there was a greater share of researchers at the incubator at the same time, other types of founders were more successful. Then I began to ask myself about the question about efficiency and how much cost is associated with creating a new firm for different types of incubators. So I divided the incubators into municipal-owned and university-owned incubators. And I found that municipal-owned incubators help facilitate new firms at a lower cost than university-owned incubators. But also that municipality-owned incubators gained more from having more or creating more firms with researchers as founders, because that speeded up the process. So that was about my dissertation, and now I'm going to give you 3 recommendations. The first recommendation is associated to researchers. So basically I think that there's worth in involving more researchers at university incubators. The second one is about students and the versatility of students. So basically students can take on many roles in an incubator, both being a founder themselves, but also to help facilitate the formation of firms with founders that are unwilling. And the third one is to keep the teacher exception in Sweden. And basically in Sweden, it's the individual researcher that owns his or her research results. So in the US and UK and so on, is usually the other way around. So it's the university that finance the research, actually that owns outcomes from the research. And other studies have found that in Europe, for example, that try to emulate the American Bayh-Dole Act, which basically started having universities own research outcomes. In their emulation, there has been studies done on that and see the efficiency and effectiveness of that, and they've seen a decreasing degree of commercialization. So I think that Sweden should keep its teacher exception. So that's it from me, and if you have any questions or want to contact me in any way, my email address is accessible through the university's homepage. Thank you.